This is Sporting Max with Max Becker on SEN.
Welcome back to another episode of Sporting Max on 11:16 SEN, where today, this Sunday, the 20th of February, I'm joined by two-time Copeland Trophy winner, is an AFL premiership star, Collingwood Magpies vice-captain. He's the 264-game champion. Got to strive for that 300 games, mate. Steele Sidebottom, welcome back to the show. It's fantastic to have you in the studios today. How you going?
Going well, Max. Thanks for having me, mate. It's looks like you've made it big time now from the first time that I've been lucky enough to get on. So thanks for having me again.
Episode 6, I think it was, straight through to 78.
Look out. Let's hope a bit better.
Now, I want to sort of start off with what's it like being an AFL player while managing being a dad. I mean, Matilda's growing up a bit now.
Yeah, she is. She's 17 months yesterday. She's keeping me on my toes at the moment, but it hasn't been too bad, to be honest.
Yep.
Alicia's back at work now.
Mm-hmm.
She goes to childcare 3 days a week, so Alicia has Tuesdays off. I've usually got Thursdays off, so we make it work. But I'm lucky to have the job I have. Mm-hmm. Matilda's she's been great for us. We haven't had too many hiccups at the moment, so she sleeps and eats well. So that's half the battle, but she's been good.
So is there any difference to your sort of night before the game routine?
No, not really. As I said, she's a good sleeper.
Mm-hmm.
She's usually down by about 7. And lately she's probably been waking up a bit earlier. But when footy season was around last year, she was a bit of a dream. So touch wood, she stays like that for this year.
Now, what about game day? I mean, do you go for a walk game day? Have a bit of fish and chips before the game, or?
I'll go for a bit of a walk. I've got 2 little dogs at home, Buzz and Ziggy. Just live near Hayes Paddock there, so take the dogs over for a bit of a walk, but no fish and chips. Bit of pasta, some garlic bread.
Yep.
Fuel up, but haven't had fish and chips before the game for a while.
What breed are your dogs?
I've got a Maltese poodle and a Schnauzer poodle, maybe a spoodle.
Yep.
Yeah. They're going all right. They've sort of been put on the back burner a bit since Matilda's come along, but they're good dogs.
So how was your off season? I mean, after a year last year with a couple of different presidents and Bucks going out, probably the only coach you've had for most of your career. What was it like? Obviously, with a couple of changes and differences happening around the club.
Yeah, as you said, I had Mick for 2 years, I think, at the start, 2 or 3 years, and then Bucks was actually still he's an assistant when I was there. So I've had pretty much Bucks has been at the footy club the whole time that I've been there. So I think the changes at the club have made for someone like me who's been there for a long time, it's been nice. Hearing from a new voice. I think we've got a good mix of coaches that have come in. We've got a new head of fitness as well, which has given us a bit of a different look into pre-season. So the changes have been great. I'm loving going to work at the moment. She's all rosy at the moment. Haven't had a game yet, so the wins and losses haven't come. But it's a great place to be at the moment.
No sprays yet from Craig McRae?
There's been a few little ones here and there, but nothing too serious at the moment.
Now, I know you had a sort of variety of injuries towards the end of last year and throughout the year. Did you have any surgery post-season, and how's your body feeling heading into this year?
Yeah, I had thumb surgery at the end of the season. I broke my thumb in 2015, so a while ago now, but probably the last couple of years just sort of a few knocks on it. Went in to see Jason Harvey, and he thought we'd better have surgery on it. So I had a ligament reconstruction, slowly getting there, probably not 100% at the moment, but good enough. Had the thumb cleaned up. Other than that, pretty good. It was just nice to get off the feet a bit. I'm starting to feel like I'm 31 now, going to training, starting to get the sore feet and knees, but I might have to bring the old grass cats out, the old career savers as they call it. But the body's all right at the moment, and going okay.
How'd you do that thumb in 2015?
I pretty sure I went to handball it and smacked
Oh,
into Big
no.
Leuenberger's elbow, I think. So I
Oh,
punched his elbow and knew straight away that I'd done something and, yeah, ran off. And, yeah, unfortunately, I think I missed 6 weeks after
oh.
that. So,
Now, I
yeah.
know how important family is to you and the Shepparton community is to you. You must have been thrilled when you got announced that you were being inducted into the Shepparton Sports Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I was. A bit of a surprise. It was a couple of Fridays ago now. So they'd been planning to have it, long before that. But obviously COVID had put a stop to that. But, yeah, lucky enough to get it underway last Friday. Some of the names that were inducted, Stephen King, who you'd know, Stephen Tingay, I'm not sure if you'd know
A
him.
little bit.
Yeah,
Heard of him.
ex-Melbourne player, Adam Uze as well. So, some of the
Wow.
names that, were inducted as well. It was, guys that sort of, I loved to watch when I was growing up. So
Yeah.
to be recognised, alongside some of those names was, it was pretty nice. And had 3 of my brothers and mum and obviously my partner Alicia come along and enjoy the night. But yeah, it's pretty nice to be inducted.
Now, as a 10-year plus player now, what does a pre-season look like for you?
Pretty similar to everyone else actually. Once you sort of get past that, first to 5 year age bracket, you come back 2 weeks later than everybody else. So
Bit of a better break.
bit of a longer break, yeah, which is always nice. But people say that pre-seasons get easier as you get older, but I can't vouch for that because everyone I've been involved in's been pretty tough. So yeah, they go for a long time, probably just as long as the actual season. But it's something that we probably need to do to get our bodies ready for what can be a pretty long year.
So have the rigours of pre-season differed since you became a part of the AFL? I think it might have been 2009.
Yeah. Well, I think the game's always evolving. But yeah, there's still plenty of running. Probably when I first started, there's more running without footballs and things like that. Whereas now they try and make sure that the footies are always in, and it's a nice distraction.
Yep.
Running with a footy in your hand rather than not. So there's been little chops and changes that have been introduced, but still very, very taxing.
Now, can you talk me through the some of the different types of athletic training that you would usually do in the pre-season, or maybe that Bucks did with you when new coach Craig Mcguire has come in and shaken up a bit?
Yeah. Well, for me, I don't mind running. So sort of in the off season, I'll go for a run and whack the earphones in and almost get lost and come back probably an hour later or whatever. But as I mentioned, sort of from last year to this year, there's still a lot of ball work. We used to do the 2K time trial. This year's the first time that I've been at the club that we haven't done it. We introduced a new sort of shuttle test, which was nice again because for whatever reason a lot of boys get the first day back anxiety of obviously having to beat your time or meet your expectation that you've left with. So it's a bit of a nice change up, but as I mentioned, look, it's still a lot of running, and not only just that. There's obviously now with the new coach and things that there's a lot of stuff that happens inside with meetings and a few tweaks in the game plan as well. So the days are full at the moment.
So what's it like when you've sort of got that training? And what did you get in the shuttle test? Because, I mean, that can be grueling for a lot of players.
Yeah, so it's actually something that I've never done before. It's similar to a beep test. I think it might be called the 15-30 test. I think I got around the 21 mark, which I don't even know if that's good or not. Yeah. But there was probably about 3 of us left there towards the end, so did okay at it. But it was a different test. It was a slow build up, pretty slow at the start, and then before you know it, you're gassed and you're waiting for the end. But something different, as I said, which is nice.
So who was it? Was it you? Was Pendles in there too?
Nah, Pat Lipinski, we've got from the Doggies, and Big Will Kelly, who's he's a bit of a specimen at the moment. He's come back, he's fit. he's probably 6'3" or whatever he is.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'd expect him to have a good year.
Well, thanks for a bit of a chat, Steele. We're gonna go to a quick break and get back on the other side with Steele Sidebottom. Welcome back from the break. Back with Steele Sidebottom. Steele, I want to get into sort of your early career. I mean, growing up, you played for the Tully Rooten Demons as a junior. What was that like? I mean, what kind of player were you as a kid?
Yeah, funnily, I only ever played the one game for Tally, actually.
Yeah.
Tally only had sort of under 17, so
Mm.
me being, I don't know, I think I was about 10 when I started, just travelled down the road to Kingupna, played all my junior footy there, but, I was the youngest of 5 boys, so the footy oval was out the back of our place, so, I mean, if it wasn't footy, it was always sport, so
Yep.
cricket, whatever it was, but, yeah, I don't know, what I would have probably been a similar player to I am now. Would have loved to play midfield and sneak forward and snag a few
Yeah.
goals for sure. But yeah, I think I've sort of always, been a similar player to probably what I am now.
Hmm. Now, what was it like competitiveness in the backyard or at the footy oval with your brothers?
Yeah, pretty full on at times. I reckon there was, golf balls being hit at each other. There would have been punches thrown, no doubt. My dad used to always say that, if you ever wanted to have a fight, you had to go underneath a clothesline out
Yeah.
the back and see who wins the title. So, there's no doubt that I suppose the competitive side of me has come from, my upbringing and, the big fellas keeping me on me toes and, yeah, not wanting to get beat by them all the time.
Now, I believe one of your brothers is in England. I think it might be at the moment playing cricket. Can you tell us about him?
Yeah, so Ryan's over there. I think he's been over there for potentially nearly 6 years, or could be even more. So he'd sort of always wanted to do it. From Shep, he come down and played Premier cricket for Carlton for a while, and then my mum's born over in England, so he was able to get his UK passport, which to play county cricket over there, you've either got I think they can have 2 internationals or clearly just a local. So he hasn't played international cricket. So, yeah, he plays for Warwickshire now in the county. I think he's he plays club cricket for Berkswell over there. And yeah, he loves it. I think don't know how many he's played in the first, but his first game that he played over there was at Lords.
Mm-hmm.
Which, obviously being an Aussie in the Ashes and things
Yep.
like that was pretty special. So he's got a partner over there, and I think he looks pretty settled. So I don't know if he'll be back anytime soon.
What about you, Steele? I mean, moving into the under-18s grand final, I think it might have been kicked 10 goals. Can you take me through this?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I was, very fortunate that night. I think it was just one of those nights where everything clicked for me. I think one of my first possessions I got holding the ball, so probably was thinking it might have been a long night, but
Yep.
yeah, fortunate enough to the tables turned a little bit. I think I played probably the first half midfield, and then third quarter got thrown forward and happened to kick 5, and yeah, I had 8 straight, I think, at 3/4 time, and I think the coach sort of probably wanted me to get to 10 as well. I think that stage we'd had a pretty comfortable lead, and probably wasn't any doubt that we were going to win by then, and got my 9th, early in the last, and then got the yips a bit. I think I kicked one out in the full, missed a couple from in front, but yeah, eventually got the 10, and I think we won the granny by about 70 points. So pretty special night, and one that I'll never forget, and probably got me to the position I am today.
Yeah, so then how did you get into, I guess, the Collingwood side to be part of that 2010 grand final team?
Yeah, so got drafted, at the end of 2008 with pick 11. I was a mad Bombers supporter growing up, so I was half hoping that I'd end up at the Bombers. But yeah, got picked up by the Pies, and had to go and play VFL, and I suppose try and earn my spot. Played, I think, maybe 5 or 6 in the VFL, and then I was emergency against St Kilda on a Monday night at Etihad, and Leon Davis was a laid out. So, yeah, made my debut against the Saints. We got pumped by about 70 points. Yeah, played probably maybe seven games, I think. And then I remember the game we played Sydney in Sydney, and Brett Kirk was playing well, and I think back then I was probably 75 kilos, ringing wet. I was probably similar to your frame, Max. And I got thrown in the third quarter to try and play on Brett Kirk, and got moved off him pretty quickly and ended up getting dropped that week. So, yeah, went back to the VFL and then was lucky enough to play, some good footy in the VFL, and then got picked in the first final against the Saints. And lucky enough for me, I haven't had to go back and play VFL since.
So what was that like in your first game against the Saints, and who were you sort of matched up on?
It's a long time ago now. I suppose it was a bit of a blessing that I didn't have time to, get nervous over, because I only found out that afternoon that I was playing. So, obviously told the family and friends to try and, get them to be able to make it. But, I don't remember a whole lot of it. It was more, I was probably in a bit of awe, everything that I'd always dreamt of to be able to play AFL. I was out there living it. So, don't remember a whole lot of it. But, it was one that although we got flogged, I thoroughly enjoyed.
Now I've got to ask a quick question, just about family life. What about post game? Nowadays, does Alicia let you go out with the boys?
No, I'm too old for that now, Max. As you said, I got a little girl now who, I love to be at home and be around. So, we usually get back to the club, do a bit of recovery, might have a few beers back then, but no heading out onto the circuit anymore.
Now, what about that 2010 grand final and then the replay? Lenny Hayes got that Norm Smith medal in the first game, and then in the replay it was Scott Pendlebury. What was it like in those two games to be a part of AFL history?
Yeah. Back then I was 19 at the time, and probably took it all for granted a little bit. Similar to what I was saying about, my first game. Once you sort of play your first game, then, you want to start playing in finals and then grand finals. So, I was fortunate enough to play in those grand finals. She was obviously pretty tight in that first one, and potentially, I don't know, because it didn't happen. If it went to extra time, then who knows what would have happened. But, as it stands, it was a draw, and, we obviously had to come back the next week, and there's a lot of things that have sort of organised after grand finals. Like we had like a dinner thing on for all your friends and families to celebrate or whatever. So we still went to that. We just had dinner and sort of took off. So we did that and then had to come back and play again. And fortunate enough for us, we come back and we're the better team next week and ran out pretty comfortable winners in the end. So. To go through that experience was very special, and there'll never be anything like it again because they've changed the rules since. So very special couple of weeks for myself.
So coming into that second game, do you think you guys might have been a bit less nervous than the first game because you know what the expectations are of playing in an AFL grand final? All the pre-game things, everything like that.
Yeah, there's no doubt it would have definitely helped. I don't think there was no, grand final parade and all that kind of stuff that comes along with it. So, it was, a lot more relaxed. I'm not sure. Maybe we pulled up better from the first game. We had some guys that, maybe didn't play to their best the first week, and someone like Scotty Pendlebury, who you said won the Norm Smith the next week, probably didn't have his greatest game in the first game, but showed his true colours in the second, and that was why we were able to run away winners.
I want to touch on that 2019. I think it was premiership loss to the West Coast Eagles. You were right in there, and then Dom Sheed comes in with a hammer from an angle and kicks a winning goal.
Yeah.
What was that like for you guys? And then for it to be blamed on the runner, around the club.
Yeah. As I mentioned before about being, 19 at 2010 and sort of taking it for granted. When I was young, I thought that playing finals and grand finals was just sort of always going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then, sort of 15 to, 15, 16, 17, I was sitting on the couch while the finals was on. So, I got a taste of the other side of it, not being able to be out there and play when when everyone wants to play. So going into 2018, I really wanted to make sure that I sat back and really embraced it all and took everything in. So the whole lead up, and not even just the grand final, but I think that whole final series and even the whole year, sort of where we come from to be a kick away at the end. Although we lost that game, that 2018 year for me personally was far better than winning that 2010 grand final. I was a lot older and more mature, and really just enjoyed it. But as you said, we come up short. And then for things to Woody, who you mentioned about the runner, who's who's a mate of mine. I think you've got supporters who are are sort of disappointed with the result and almost looking for things to blame.
Yeah.
Blame, and he was unlucky that he was in the wrong position at the wrong time, and it was definitely not his fault. So, for him to have to go through that is pretty sad, and I just wish we could have kicked one more goal and it would have saved all those headaches.
I mean, for it to be blamed on the runner, Woody, though, I mean, runners, you get sent out there, obviously by the coach to deliver messages or things like that to the players, and obviously now that's been shortened up by the AFL, the amount of time that a runner can spend on the ground each quarter.
Yeah, exactly right, and as well as I do, that wasn't the case, and
Now I want to touch on your Copeland medals, 2017. What was that like? Watching that poll go down and, you get your first Copeland medal.
Yeah, it was pretty special. 2017 wasn't one of our greatest years, but probably, we'd started to sort of build from the previous couple of years. And I think I remember it was one game to go and Tay Adams and myself were both equal. And I think I might have managed to get one vote in the last, and he mustn't have got one. So just scraped home in that one. I suppose it's, good recognition for, a lot of your hard work. Clearly, the BNF medals aren't the ones you want, and, you want the premiership ones, but they're nice, sort of, nice awards to win along the way. As I said, it just sort of gives you recognition for a lot of the hard work that you've put in, and, clearly it's not, an individual sport, it's your team sport. So, without all of my teammates, I'm not the player that I am.
So how do you prepare your, obviously, Copeland medal speeches? I mean, you won it again in 2018.
There's no preparation at all.
Just
it goes
off the top
into
of your
it.
head?
Yeah, usually at the Copeland Trophy night, you're allowed to have a few beers. So, have a few beers and get the courage up a little bit. But, I think there's a lot of thank yous and things like that. And, you just want to, it's almost a bit of a full stop on the season. So you're there to enjoy the night. And, I suppose I was just lucky that my name got called out as, the winner of the Copeland Trophy.
Shout out to Matt Dicker and the Lau Elephants. I've heard a couple of your Copeland speeches. You mentioned him and the Lau Elephants in that, and I think it might have been 2018 speech. What did he have to force it to you to get him to mention you?
Yeah, definitely. I think he got me one of the Lau Elephants. I don't know if it was a basketball top or footy jumper that they were wearing. So that's up in the pool room at home that I look at all the time.
Yeah. Now I want to talk about the club. What was it like the back end of that season to play? Such a great player and coach like Robert Harvey.
Yeah, well, I mean, to almost go back a little bit and, to see someone like Bucks who's been at, the club for a long time, things don't always work out the way you want them to work out. And, I think Bucks had such a great career as a player, and, for me to be able to work under him as coach, I think he's had a great career as a coach, and who knows, he's probably got more to offer as well. So for a start to see, him almost, get sacked at, halfway through the year, it sort of, it made me feel a little bit almost responsible, because at the end of the day, it's not often the players get sacked midway through the season. It's the coaches. So, I felt responsible for, some of the performances that we're dishing up, but for halves to get his chance, he's been in the system as a coach for a long time. It was great as well, and a few different ideas for him that probably we hadn't had under Bucks was nice as well. But he's no longer at the club either. He's gone to the Hawks, so we've got a nice new mix of coaches at the footy club.
We're going to go straight to a quick break and then cut to have a chat about Eddie Mcguire on the other side. Welcome back from the break with Steele Sidebottom. Steele, I want to get into a bit of Eddie Mcguire. We've recently had him on the podcast. He's a great man and such a great person. In the past year, you've had Mark Corder and Peter Murphy at the club. Do those differences, you've only been under Eddie over your entire career so far. Do those differences sort of flow through and go through to the playing group?
I suppose they do, sort of without even noticing it as well. I think, Collingwood being such a big club as well, and how it all unfolded for Eddie to not be at the club. It's a distraction that no footy club needs, and whether we noticed it or not, I think it did have a bearing on the way that probably the club was running. Potentially not so much as the way we were playing, but when there's media at the club, usually it's because something's not right.
Yep.
They tend to not come to the club too much when things are going smoothly. So, it was a very, well, for me, it was like a very sad time at the footy club to see someone who had put so much work and so much of his life into the footy club, for it to sort of end the way it did for Ed was very disappointing. But not sort of COVID and things, what's has been. I just hope that in due course that he'll be celebrated for some of the outstanding work that he did at that footy club, because potentially the footy club doesn't exist if it wasn't for the work that Ed had done. So a huge figure, and I think someone that you sort of miss seeing around the club. He's a great bloke, Ed, and for me, who I've had a couple of hiccups along my way. Eddie's always got his players back, and sometimes it's it's not good for Eddie, but he'll do anything for his players, and I think that's why it makes him such a good fella.
Now, do you notice any differences between the presidency styles of Eddie Mcguire and Mark Corder? And Jeff Brown, sorry, yeah.
Well, not really. I think a lot of the sort of work that those guys do is clearly away from behind the scenes. But I don't really know how either of them ran or whatever, how they done things. But I think Eddie was. They used to call him Eddie everywhere because he was everywhere. He obviously had the things he was doing on Channel 9 and things like that. So I feel like you did see probably a little bit more of Ed, but I wouldn't know how they sort of run things off the field. Yep.
Coach Craig McRae, what was your, initial reaction when it was announced he was going to be your coach for this year?
So Fly was at the club my early days. So he was a development coach back when, I sort of first started. So, I sort of had, a relationship there already with him. But yeah, I was stoked to, have somebody like him. I think, one of his big strengths is he's a real people's person. And, I feel like whenever I have a conversation or something with Fly that, I always, leave that conversation, feeling better about myself. And, I feel like when you speak to him, he really looks like he's listening and taking in what you say. So, Fly's been from the moment he walked in the door, and I think he made an effort to sort of sit down with every individual player, and he had his notepad out and writing notes, which he wants to know about you, and he really wants us to be ourselves and express ourselves at the footy club. So since Fly's come in, he's been really good, and someone who I'm loving going to work with every day.
Have you had discussions with him sort of around your position in the group this year and where you're sort of going to be playing?
Yeah, I did. So in that sort of first, initial catch up, yeah, probably the last sort of couple of years, I've been sort of swung around a little bit, played bits and pieces forward, midfield, on the wing as well. So, we just sort of spoke about going back to home base a little bit, and
Yep.
for me, that's probably playing a little bit more time on the wing. So, let some of the bigger boys in there
Mhm.
do all the dirty work, and I'll sort of run around the outsides and try and keep things nice and tidy. But yeah, it's been nice. Getting back to sort of where I think I've played my best footy. So yeah, let's hope I can produce some of my best footy going forward.
Now, there's been a fair bit going on around the club in the past year. A couple of exits, a couple of new entries, including Nick Dacos. He was picked as a father-son. What's he been like to get to know? And obviously, you got Josh at the club too.
Yeah, it's been well sort of known that he's been coming to the club for a while now, and it's probably when he was like 15 and 16, he was coming down to the footy club, and it sort of felt like it was such a long time between then to when he was actually going to get drafted, and he's finally there now. He's very silky. He looks very smooth when he's got the footy.
Mhm.
He rarely coughs it up. And I think he'll really complement our team. And you don't want to put too much expectation on such a young player, but I think he's already shown why he was such a high pick in the draft. Some of the things that he's been able to do this far in pre-season. You mentioned his brother Josh as well. I think he'll just keep getting better as well. He's still young, but let's hope to see some great footy by both of those two coming forward.
How are the old guys at the club looking? I mean, Pendles is obviously still in excellent shape.
Yep.
What's he going to be like, and what can we expect from him this year?
Probably much of the same. I think it seems like he never slows down. It's a pleasure to be able to sort of play alongside him at times. He, as everyone talks about, he sort of slows the game down, and because he's definitely not quick,
Mhm.
but he makes everyone else sort of look
Yeah.
slow around him. But as everyone mentions, his basketball background coming through, and Pendles he's come back in great shape again. He always does, and I don't expect anything different. I'm sure he'll play well again this year and lead from the front like he always does.
We'll go to a quick another break and get back on the other side to have a chat about the AFL. Back from the break with Steele Sidebottom. Steele, I want to get into a bit of AFL. I mean, on the team dynamic, obviously you've mentioned on the wing, and with COVID, I mean, the NBA have got 10-day contracts. We've heard talk about the NBL possibly having some short-term contracts for players. I mean, if a ruckman goes down, in say for Collingwood, Cox goes down, or someone like him, and you don't have any other ruckman to back him up. What are your thoughts on going into like maybe a short term 10-day, 15-day contract with maybe someone from the VFL?
Yeah, I sort of I like all that kind of stuff. I think it adds a bit more to the game. And yeah, I think the game's, as I sort of mentioned earlier, the game's always evolving. And if you found yourself in a position where one of your keys have gone down, and you don't have the cattle there to be able to restock, then whatever sort of concept they come up with, whether it's a pool that you can sort of choose from, or
Yeah.
it's your VFL or whatever it is, I think I think it'll be good for the game. It gives guys another opportunity that potentially wouldn't get that opportunity. So I reckon it'll be good for the game, and something that I'd definitely like to see.
What about mid-season draft? I mean, that's been spoken about multiple years, and I think it's happened 2 years in a row now. What do you think of that? And possibly someone like, I mean, we've seen it with a couple of guys coming into the league and having impacts on teams last season.
Yeah, that's another thing. I love it. Same thing again, that someone might have missed the draft the previous year and then have played some really good footy in their state comp, and you might get an injury in the first half of the season, and someone pops up that your potential now that you're able to pick them up and sort of and fill your list back up. So I think it's great. It gives, as I said, people another chance that potentially they wouldn't have had, and someone like Marlon Pickett getting picked up
Hmm.
and playing in a grand final and winning that. I hope to see more stories like that going forward.
Now AFL State of Origin, it's been played a few times now. What's your sort of perspective on this?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to play in it for the last one. So yeah, I'm all for it to be able to, play alongside the best players, from the comp. Yeah, it's something that I definitely love doing, and I'm sure if you ask most players that, they'd say the same thing, and I think sort of the fans want to see that. They want to see the best players out there performing, and I think that game's a really good opportunity to showcase, the talent in the comp.
Now what was that AFL Origin experience like for you?
Yeah, it was great actually. As I mentioned, it's usually guys that you're competing against, and um, when you play against someone, you might think think different of them until you actually meet them. So when you're out there and that competitive spirit sort of shining through, there's some tempers out there, and you might think of people differently as to when you meet them. They're all similar people to myself. They're very very competitive out in the field, but once you can actually sort of sit back and speak to them and get to know them, they're actually good fellas. So yeah, to be able to be a part of that game was yeah, it was great, and sort of we spent a couple of days together before it and after it as well. So yeah, it was definitely nice to get to know a few of the opposition players.
Were you or any of the guys weary of the fact that you got a season to play, you don't want to injure yourself?
No, I don't think so. And I think if you sort of go in with that mindset, that's when the injuries will probably happen. So yeah, I can't say myself that I was worried about going out there to get injured. We train 3 or 4 times a week, and I suppose playing one more game before the season, I don't think was going to be any harm.
So how are you looking forward to this season?
Yeah, can't wait for the season. It's been a long pre-season actually. I'm starting to feel my age a little bit now. I'm 31. I'm the fourth oldest at the footy club now. So
Who's the oldest?
Pendle's the oldest. Pendle's Ruffy, or Pendle's Howie, Ruffy, and then myself. So yeah, I'm definitely sort of starting to feel the sore spots a bit more. But I've been pretty durable over my career and haven't had too many injuries. And yeah, to date I haven't sort of had any sort of hiccups this pre-season, so hopefully that'll hold me in good stead to have a good season.
So what date did you go back? I mean, some players, like you mentioned before, go back 2 weeks earlier, or some might get a bit of extra personal training in
Yep.
before pre-season.
So yeah, the first of 4 years went back on the 22nd of November, I think it was. So, and then yeah, the older guys was on the 5th of December, and obviously not sort of going anywhere because of COVID. Most of the guys were in and around Melbourne, so there was a fair chunk of the guys that were actually there November 22nd. So I think from day dot we've had guys that have come back raring to go and keen to get better, because yeah, where we finished last year wasn't great, and I think we've got some as I said, some good changes at the footy club that are holding us in good stead at the moment, and I'm confident we'll be able to perform come game day.
Does Craig McRae have any expectations of where the team should be sort of sitting around this year?
No, not yet. And right now it's about sort of us just to start learning some new things as part of the game plan. There's definitely been some shifts, and yeah, sort of we need to start getting better at those things before we start worrying about where we should be on the ladder. But the things that we've put in place this far, I've been impressed with, and I'm really looking forward for the season to start, and to be able to put all the things that we've been practicing over the pre-season all to one, and start competing against some opposition.
So how do you try and personally work on I guess your game each season?
Well, you always review your year, and for me personally, probably the last couple of years haven't been great. So I think our sort of our group is probably younger than it ever has been at the moment, and for someone who's at the latter stage of their career, it's been nice for me just to sort of go back to basics, and yeah, just sort of to get more confident in myself, go back to the fundamentals, and just try and get good at the basic things, because if you can't do the basics, then you're not going to be able to do the other stuff. So it's been nice. And as I said, I'm just really looking forward to getting into it.
Thanks, Steele, for coming on for a chat today. Sunday, the 20th of February. It's been an honour to have you on. Best of luck for this year.
No worries. Thanks, Max. And I look forward to heading out for a fish on Dad's boat soon.
Yeah. Thanks, Steele. Stay tuned next week, everyone, for some more Sporting Max.
This is Sporting Max with Max Becker on SEN.